What is up, YouTube? My name is Joystick. As you guys know, I like to do these meta tier list videos every month to give you guys like the perfect, idea of what the meta looks like in terms of tank, DPS, and support. This is obviously the tank video, so I just want to, run through each tank individually and give you guys, that, certain idea of what works, what doesn't work, and how you guys can win more games. Jumping right into this, let's hop Zarya right in at S tier. This is gonna be kind of similar to the last video just because the meta hasn't exactly changed, but the idea and how people play the game has definitely changed, so that is always the case. Zarya is still at the top of the food chain here, really. I think Zarya is just the most versatile tank, in the game. You can run Zarya just about any other tank in the game and still find value. That's just how strong she is. If you're able to maintain high energy, protecting your team with those bubbles, and then obviously Graviton Surge is just a game, a team fight win ultimate. So you can't ever count out Zarya really on, she's obviously not the best in every situation, but I think 9 times out of 10 you cannot go wrong with this pick, just because just the utility that she can bring to a team, and the synergy with Reinhardt Zarya obviously is still meta. Even Winston Zarya I think is right up there, is second to the meta as well, and I think that's a super strong composition that you should definitely be trying out in your games if you have a good Winston player on your team. I'm bringing in Reinhardt. Reinhardt I think is still top of the main tank ladder here, but I always find it weird that the off tanks are better than the main tanks. I feel like that should never be the case in Overwatch, but that's just how the balance of the game is. So unfortunately, the thing about Reinhardt in comparison to Zarya is that yeah, you could be really good at Reinhardt, but if you don't have a good off tank with you, it's really hard to carry the game. It's really it's really how hard your Zarya carries in comparison to your Reinhardt. Unfortunately, I kind of wish that was flip-flopped. It doesn't really make exact sense, but that's just how the game is, right? I think Reinhardt's still strong. Earth Shatter is pretty decent ability if you're able to land it and secure 1 to 2 kills. Just the fact that you can control space with this hero, and the meta really revolves around that rush style with the McCree, the Mei, the Lucio, Baptiste, maybe even Ana there, right? You want to be rushing into your enemy team and just basically holding down your W key and don't look back. Once you commit to the fight, you got to commit to the fight, and you got to be mindful of that Reinhardt 1v1 mind game. You got to be smart how you want to take those fights, and make sure that you are being that main tank difference, and that's what Reinhardt it's really all about. So bringing in Winston here at A tier. I think Winston is definitely a pick on the rise right now, and I think is well deserving of A tier at this point. If you're able to run Winston with the Zarya, that double bubble composition is so incredibly good. Your Winston jumps in, takes that friendly bubble from the Zarya, giving your Zarya high energy while also creating space for your DPS and your team to move in. I just love that that concept and how it creates space, right? And Winston, what you want to be doing is taking high ground, poking out the enemies, and building up to that primal rage, or even just farming your Ana's nano boost. I think Ana's the perfect hero with Winston as well. So you're not going to be really wanting to run the Baptiste necessarily with the Winston. You can. I think Ana just enables Winston. You want to nano your Winston in with the bubbles, and you can do super crazy disruption is also with primal rage. As soon as you're about to die, you pop that. So crazy synergy there, and I think Winston definitely deserves the spot at A tier. In Diva, I think Diva is rising up as well very quickly. Noticed a lot of Divas in my game, especially with her buff with the remake. I think it actually does help her a lot. It makes her a little more of a threat in some way. It's not that much, but in some way it does. And then just the fact that Diva can control space and by eating damage and being pretty tanky nowadays. She's not as easy to demech, I don't think, and even self-destruct is still a strong ability if you're able to combo it well with any Graviton Surge, or just creating space with self-destruct and securing kills out of high ground. If you're trying to take out like a far Mercy, self-destruct is also good there. But I think Diva is definitely, you know, obviously great with Winston, but actually really great with Reinhardt too. Even in that rush style composition, you could easily slot out Zarya for Diva, and the rush works just as well. So definitely do not count out this pick. I'm actually going to bring in Wrecking Ball A tier. I think Wrecking Ball is pretty underrated actually right now. Obviously the meta is that rush brawl style, but I think Ball definitely brings a lot of utility on, you know, King of the Hill maps and, you know, that type of control and, like, you know, those quick fight engagements. If you want to run like a hard dive comp with Tracer and Echo, I think Ball is actually really great with that, following up on the damage. So, you know, you're gonna be wanting to run most likely Ball with Roadhog. I think is the most common thing to do. But I think you just put Ball in just about anywhere, you know, with any tank, because he's kind of just his own, you know, he does his own thing, and he's kind of just making his own space. You know, it doesn't really need a lot of follow-up in terms of utility from another off tank. So I think that's why Ball is pretty underrated. So Minefield's still pretty good. His damage can be good if you are, you know, smart in taking angles and not like going in the same way every time. I do like Wrecking Ball with Zarya. If you can get those pile drives in with the friendly bubble from Zarya, it can build high energy not only for Zarya, but you're also making space to Wrecking Ball. So that's a big thing. It's really easy to like not do anything on this character, and it's really easy to just feed. Like you go in, you get McCree stunned, you get Mei frozen, you get Brig bashed, and it's really easy to do absolutely nothing and just die. So gotta be careful about that. But if you can make it work, I do think Wrecking Ball is definitely a threat. So I'm going to bring in Sigma here at B tier. I think Sigma is kind of a, it's just like a stable tank right now. You know, he's not like overpowered, but like he's not like underpowered. It's right slapped down in the middle of B tier. I think that's all right. I think Sigma should be that way because I think Sigma's been a bit overtuned in the last couple metas. So I think finally they've balanced out Sigma to the fact where like you have to hit your shots. You gotta make sure your gravitic fluxes are also big, and the fact that like you can still control space pretty consistently with this character and survive if you take off angles and stuff like that. So I think Sigma's in a pretty decent spot right now in terms of meta. Obviously not super ideal in the rush comp, but if you run the Reinhardt Sigma, I've actually seen that work pretty well and is actually underrated. So I don't mind that composition at all. So it's it really depends on your play style. If you are a Sigma player, don't feel like this is a pick that you have to avoid. I think Sigma's actually underrated. So I'm gonna bring in Roadhog. This is kind of a surprising pick for me. I thought I was gonna put Roadhog at C tier, even below Orisa, but I think Roadhog is a pick. It's mostly a niche pick, but I've seen Roadhog players really pop off and like punish like bad positioning. I think that's what Roadhog is really good at. Punishing players that overextend, that are taking too many flanks, and can actually, like, if you're able to sustain on your own and get those hooks and make those big flanks as Roadhog, I think he's actually a pretty big factor in terms of meta. So obviously you're probably going to lose the mirror match if you're going to run the Rein Zarya against the Rein Roadhog. You're going to lose that like majority of the time. But the thing is, Roadhog can be slotted in little parts of different maps, right? Control, in different control maps, or like maps that have a ton of high ground, a lot of flank options. I think Roadhog really shines there. So don't count out this character at all. Last but not least, I'm bringing in Orisa at C tier. And the reason is, Orisa is strong. She is really good at sustaining, but like her damage isn't very great. Her shield break isn't necessarily that great either. The real, she's kind of just like a halt bot. She's good in that double shield composition with Orisa Sigma still. That's still like definitely viable. Don't get me wrong. And even like Orisa with Roadhog is all right too. So. But it's I just think she still gets a little bit too overwhelmed in terms of like the actual meta and grand scheme of things. The meta is rush. You want that Winston in deep, you want the Reinhardt, the Zarya, you want that Lucio, you want the speed, you want the Mei in there. And, you know, that is one advantage. You know, Orisa can sustain through, like, you know, ultimates like Blizzard and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, like, I think if you're going to play Orisa, you got to have that really, really, like, high-octane spam composition with, like, a Zen, the Baptiste, Hanzo, you know, Ashe, maybe with a damage boost. You need that, like, high damage, spam out the enemy team before they can get close to you. That's where Orisa definitely can get value. I think she's still good on, like, a couple payload maps, Junkertown, for example. So it really, she becomes a little more map dependent, which is alright, and I think that's good for the game as well. I think meta, in terms of meta, like, the hero should be map dependent. And that'll wrap things up today. Thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate you guys supporting the channel. We just hit 2,000 subs on YouTube. Really appreciate that. And if you guys haven't already, check out my streams over on twitch.tv/joystick. All those links will be in the description. I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you.